Hey there, third grade. This is Mr. Campbell. Today we're going to be working on lesson 4.5, and this will be on page 133. We're going to be focusing on multiplication patterns, even and odd numbers. And at the end of today, we want you to be able to say, I can find and explain patterns for even and odd numbers. All right, so we're going to be talking about odd and even quite a bit today. I know I asked you to turn to page 133. Once you're there, I want you to go ahead, fold your book open. We're going to set it off to the side. Today, we're going to be using a whiteboard, so make sure you've got that. Hopefully your teachers have already passed those out, because we're going to be using whiteboards today as we are working on this concept. So go ahead, grab your whiteboard and your whiteboard marker with me right now. And we're going to go ahead and start with a couple of things, okay? So first up, we want to talk about those two words that I just said, all right? Even and odd, all right? And these are two vocabulary words that you'll see on page 134 when we turn there in just a little bit. But even means numbers that are whole that can be divided by 2 with none left over. And odd means numbers that are whole numbers that cannot be divided by 2 with none left over. So let's go ahead and take a look at, well, what does that mean for just a minute? So in my even, if I wrote the number 6, and when I'm writing on my whiteboard, I'm going to ask you to follow along with me. So whatever I'm writing on here, I want you writing with me as well. All right? So up at the top, you should have even, you should have odd, and then we should have 6. If not, pause your video, get caught up. So if my number is 6, I'm going to go ahead and draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my 6, right? Well, when we say it's even, that means that I can create 2 equal groups. I'm going to use a different color. You can just use the color you've got already, but that means I'm going to cut it in half, and I've got group number 1 and group number 2. And look at that. All of them are inside. I've got 3 here and 3 here. This is why it's even. It can be divided by 2. All right? Well, now let's go ahead and take a look at an odd number. I'm going to just choose one less than what we just did. So we had 6, now we have 5. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right? Sorry, my glare is a little bit there. All right, so we've got my 5. That's better. All right. Well, when I make my equal groups this time, I can only put 2 in each group, and there's 1 extra left over, right? Because there's the leftover, it's not even. But if I added 1 more, then I could turn it into 6, and there would be equal groups. So when we talk about even and odd, this is what we're asking. Can you divide it by 2? But guess what? There are actual patterns that can help us out with this. All right. Now, when you were in second grade, you should have talked a little bit about odd and even. So hopefully you know a little bit. Go ahead and erase your boards with me right now. So hopefully you talked a little bit about what is odd, what is even, right? And so when I look at, I'm going to grab this real quick, my hundreds chart. All right. I've got my hundreds chart is laid out starting at 1 and goes all the way up to 10. And when I need the next number, it goes over here. Now, you've looked at these charts before. You've seen these, and we've seen some different patterns, right? Like one of the patterns that's in this is that all of these end with 1. All of these end with 2, right? 3, 4. That's a pattern that's in here. We can also see when we skip count by different numbers, we can start to see patterns on here. So if I skip count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, I can see that I'm going with 5 and 0, 5 and 0. These are all just different patterns that we can find all on our hundreds chart. All right, so they're kind of fun to use. They're kind of fun to look at and find different patterns that are inside of our hundreds chart. Well, today we're going to use our hundreds chart to talk about even and odd numbers. All right, even and odd. And just like when we were using 5 and 6, right, 5 was odd and 6 was even. All right. Well, that was because I needed 1 extra to get up to 6. When I was 5, I had 1 more, like 1 left over. We had our 4 and then we had that 1 extra, right? And so when I go to 6 and I add 1 more, oh, well, now we can just grow this and put those inside of these groups, right? That's what happens on here. So when we actually have our hundreds chart, we can already put it into groups of odd and even. And hopefully you've seen a hundreds chart that looks like this before. It looks like this because all of my green numbers here are even numbers. All right, they're all even. And all of the white numbers here are odd. All right, so white is odd, green is even. And what do you notice about the pattern when we look at this hundreds chart? I hope you're able to say, yeah, I see the pattern. It's every other, right? Every other one. So all of my ones are all odd. All of my twos are all even. Anything that ends with 3 is odd. Anything that ends with 4 is even. This is our pattern as we keep going to show odds and evens. All right? Well, we're going to take it now another step further because you guys are in 3rd grade. That's what we talked about a little bit in 2nd grade. Well, now we want to talk about what's some patterns with multiplication when we look at our odds and even numbers. All right, that's what we're going to be looking at today. Some odd and even multiplication patterns. So I've got my whiteboard out right now. I hope you've got yours out with me as well. Whatever I write on here, I want you to be copying with me, okay? This is our practice as we're going through it. We want to do it together. So the first thing that I'm going to ask is, would you write it down with me? So we're going to start here by, sorry, let me change the focus. There we go. We're going to write a number times a number equals, and then our product, right? Product means the answer to a multiplication problem. So if I started with an even number, and again, you should be writing all of this down with me, an even number times an even number, what would my answer be? Right? An even number times an even number. Is it going to be even or is it going to be odd? And I'm going to ask you to make a prediction. I want you to use your brain right now and think, what do you think is going to happen? If we times even, will it be even or odd? What do you think? All right. Well, now I'm going to go ahead and try it out. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my multiplication chart here. And I'm just going to use 4 and 6. 4 and 6 are going to be my 2 even numbers. So 4 times 6. All right. Well, if I've got 4 times 6, what that means is I've got 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm making my array. All right. And I want 6 in each one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. There we go. So there's my total. All right. How many do I have? Well, I know that 2 times 6 is 12. And then I've got 12 more here. So 12 plus 12 is 24. That's using our properties that we were using earlier, right? So I've got 24 is my total. And now I can say, well, can I make 2 equal groups out of this? I'm going to grab another color just to help us see it. All right. But what I'm saying is I made 4 groups. So here's 2 and here's 2 more. Is there the same amount in the top group as there are in the bottom group? There sure is, right? So that means that this is even. I can double check that on my hundreds chart. 24, there it is. It is colored green. It's even, all right? So one of the rules that we're learning today is an even times an even equals an even. Huh. I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? Yeah, we're timesing 2 even numbers together, so yeah, it's going to be even. All right, let's go ahead and erase our board. All right. Now you can see that I'm using my whiteboard here. I'm not writing huge on it. I'm just using the middle of my board. That's how you should be writing too. We don't want to write super, super big. All right, next up, we're going to times. I'm going to write out the same steps I did before, but we're going to time something a little different. So something times something equals my product. All right. What if this time we said an odd number times an odd number? What would you anticipate? What would you think is going to happen? What will my product be? Even or odd? If I'm going multiplying odd times odd, will this be odd or even? Well, let's go ahead and try it out, all right? So I'm going to start off with 3. That's an odd number, and 5. That's an odd number. And I know that because when I look at my hundreds chart here, 3 and 5 are both colored in white, right? Sorry, trying to move that off to the side a little bit. So 3 and 5 are both white, so that means they are odd, all right? So now that I've done that, I'm going to say I've got 3 rows, and I'm going to put 5 in every single row. So 1, 2, 3, and then I want 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Now, when I'm doing a problem and I'm not sure, I don't see an easy way to group them, one thing that I like to do is I like to make one big circle here and one big circle here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase them and move them into each one. And I alternate every single time which one I'm putting them in. This is a way for me to just go through step by step and see if they're even or if I have anything left over. All right. So keep on going here. And this gets a little bit tricky as we get filled up. All right. I've used them all. Over here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Over here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But there's one left out here, isn't there? Yeah. 3 times 5 is 15. And I have one extra one left over, which means that this is odd. So an odd times an odd is going to give me odd, right? And I'll double check that here. 15, there it is, and it is colored in white. All right, go ahead and erase your board with me. So we know even times even was even. Odd times odd was odd. Again, these all kind of make sense, right? That maybe is what we were anticipating. Well, now let's check our last one. And that one's going to be something times something equals something. What if we did an even number times an odd number? What would you anticipate this being? We said before, even times even was even, and odd times odd was odd, but now we've got 2 different things that we're going to use here. Would you think that this is going to be even, or do you think this is going to be odd? Well, I hope you made your prediction, because we're going to go ahead and try it out. So even number, I'm going to start off with the number 4, and then odd is going to be 3. So 4 times 3. All right. When I make this, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. And then each row is going to have 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Well, let's take a look at it. I'm not sure. So I'm going to make my circles and I'm going to move these dots in. How many do I have altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 altogether. I'm going to go ahead and erase them and put them into their different groups. All right. And we're going to see, is there anything left over when I am done? All right. And again, when you're doing this, one of the things that you have to be really careful is that you erase every single time to make sure that you can keep track. So here we go. All right. In this group, I've got 6. In this group, I've got 6. There's no extra ones, so that means an even number times an odd number is even, right? And I'll double check that on here. There's my number 12, and it is colored in green. So this checks out. Those are our patterns that we have. When we multiply an even number and an even number, it'll give us an even product. When we multiply an odd factor by an odd factor, it'll give us an odd product. And when we times an even number times an odd number, it'll give us an even product. This is another way for us to see patterns and then also to check our work. So let's go ahead and check out our workbook together. We're going to go to page 134 to check this out. So page 134 is going to look like this. Let's go ahead and zoom in and check it out. So this is page 134. I'm going to read through this kind of quickly because this is what we just worked on. Even numbers are whole numbers that can be divided by 2. Odd numbers are whole numbers that cannot be divided by 2. And they've got our hundreds chart here where they've already started coloring it. So they used blue, and then the ones that don't have any color in them are the odd. The blue ones are our evens, right? And so then as we slide down to box B, it says even numbers greater than 0 can be shown as 2 equal groups. And that's what we were showing on our whiteboards when we made those 2 circles and put our dots in the 2 different ones, right? So When we have even numbers, right, whenever we're multiplying by something even, it's going to have an even product. All right. All even numbers are multiples of 2. What that means is that I can times something together to get to that problem. All right. Any of these blue numbers, I can times 2 things together to get to it. I can times 2 times 6 to get 12, 2 times 7 to get 14, 2 times 8 to get 16, 2 times 9. 2 is a factor for anything that's in our blue numbers here. All right. That's what this is telling us. So 2 times something can get us there. All right. Now, if we go to the next page, 135, all right, the last one says an odd number cannot be divided by 2 with none left over. So we can think about 3 times 5. It can't be divided, so it's going to be odd. So odd times odd is equal to odd. All right. Let's go ahead and jump in to our guided practice first. All right. And so we're going to go ahead and check this out. So number 2, it says to solve it. So 4 times 6. Well, 4, is that an even number or an odd number? Well, the way we can know that is, can 4 be divided by 2? Can 4 be divided by 2? And our answer is yes, right? 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now we're checking to see if 6 is even. Can 6 be divided by 2? The answer is yes, right? It can, because 6 divided by 2 is 3. So even times even is going to give us what kind of a product? Even times even is going to give us an even product, right? So 4 times 6, well, 4 times 6 is just going to be 2 times 6 and 2 times 6. 12 plus 12 is 24. So our answer here is 24. Okay. I used the distributive property here to be able to do 2 plus 2 is 4. So I broke 4 into 2 equal groups and then solve that problem. Okay. So this is how we can solve these different problems. So when we get down here to number 3, all right, for number 3, it says, we've got 9 times 5. Well, 9. Can that be divided by 2 evenly? No. So this is odd, right? 5. Can that be divided evenly by 2? No, it's odd. What did we say earlier? Odd times odd is going to give us what? An odd answer. It's an odd number. All right. Now we can do 9 times 5. Hopefully you know your 9's facts, and you know that 9 times 5 is 45, which is an odd number. Well, when you do number 4 and number 5 on your own, do those same steps. Write it above. Is 8 even or odd? Is 7 even or odd? Is 4 even or odd? 8 even or odd? And then you're going to write in this blank right here if it's even or odd, and then you're going to put your actual product at the bottom. All right. This can help us out when we are working on our multiplication and just double checking to make sure that what we're doing makes sense. These patterns are a great resource for us. Well, thanks so much for working together with me today. You guys have done an awesome job. I hope to see you guys next time, and have a great rest of the day.